Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping by. Today I have a new layout and video to share for Hip Kit Club, and I'm using the 2020 January kits for this. And I'm going to start with a cut file. This is one of Kim Watson's exclusive cut files for this month. I thought it was really pretty, and it's perfect for all the flowers in the kits. A lot of the Pink Fresh Studio My Favorite Story collection. And so I went ahead and picked out some of those papers. I've got all those floral die cuts over there. Some of the Pocket Life cards, and I'm just going to start there. I want this to be bright and springy and just really pretty and floral. So I just picked out things that I thought would all coordinate, and I'm just going to start by backing this cut file. So I've already got some papers that I punched out of last week for my circle layout. So I'm just going to keep using that paper until it's gone. And I'm going to just do a simple technique for backing cut files, and that's just tracing the shape with a pencil and then cutting it out and then gluing it behind the cut file. There's all kinds of different ways to back a cut file. You can just glue the cut file down and then cut around it after it dries. I like to trace it and cut it, especially when it's a specific shape like this. It just makes it a little bit easier because that way you have the exact shape and then it fits that part of the cut file perfectly. So I'm just going to continue to work on this. I'm going to add a little bit of glue behind the cut file there and then stick this flower down. And I'm not going to show you the entire process of every single one of these flowers, but you get the idea. So I'm going to try to do each flower a different color. There's only 4 flowers and then 2 sets of leaves, so this didn't really take that long. But I wanted to make the big one pink because, you know, pink is one of my favorite colors, and I especially love it when I can mix it with blues and yellows, and so this color scheme was right up my alley. So I'm just going to continue to do the same thing here, trace and cut and glue, and then here we are. It's all done. I've got some green leaves, and then I've got a darker blue and then a lighter blue flower. So look at this cardstock. I have never loved a cardstock kit more than these January cardstock papers. They're so gorgeous. I cannot pick a favorite color, and there's a ton of colors, and a lot of them have this really pretty sheen. You can see there when I held that up to the camera how it just kind of was shiny. It's so pretty. So I'm going to use that as my background. I think it contrasts really nicely with all of these flowers and the colors. So what I think I'm going to do is run the circle part of the wreath off the top of the page, kind of like you see here, and then layer some more flowers on it and just go from there. Now I do want to pop this up off the page, and so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm just going to add some adhesive foam. This is nothing special. This is foam that I get, sometimes I get it at Walmart, sometimes at Michael's. It's just craft foam, sticky on one side, and you can cut it. It's pretty thin, but it's perfect for raising things up off the page. Okay, look at this cute picture. I can't. This is one of my favorite pictures of Paige. She's just adorable. And when she gets in one of her moods, I can get some really cute pictures of her. But it's very rare that she's still long enough for me to get her picture. And this is from, gosh, 5 years ago probably. She was sitting on the patio digging in the flower bed. And so I just got down there and started taking her picture, and she just thought it was hilarious. And so that's one of my favorite photo shoots of hers. So I'm going to tuck the photo there kind of like in the middle of those flowers, and then behind the cut file I'm going to do a little bit of mixed media here. So I'm using white gesso, and I'm just using a little bit at a time here with my hand, and then just using my finger to smudge it down. I just want the gesso to kind of go behind the circle and then behind the flowers, because that's where I'm going to concentrate most of the mixed media. And I want it to look kind of cloudy and hazy, so that's why I'm quickly smudging it with my hand. I don't want to scrape it on with a palette knife or use a brush because I don't want it to look like it has edges. And so I tend to like the hazy faded look with gesso. So that's why I use my hands a lot. It's easier to smudge it and blend it, and then it just looks kind of like this white cloudy effect. And kind of see what I'm talking about there now that it's mostly done. So I want to add some texture to the background, and this is the stencil that we get in the color kit this month by Echo Park. And I'm just going to use my palette knife and some molding paste or modeling paste to scrape right on top of it. And then you're going to get this really cool texture. And I'm just trying to keep this on top of the gesso, so it's kind of in that half circle design, and you'll be able to see this kind of around the circle part and then on the edges. And yeah, this is a really good stencil. I like it because it's very general. It's just little circles and a fun pattern, and you can do a lot with this. And so if you've never used a stencil with modeling paste, it's really fun, easy, quick way to get some texture and interest on your background there. So yeah, I'm going to smudge a little bit and then bring the cut file back on top of it, see how it looks, and then add just a little bit more. Now the good thing about these beautiful colors of cardstock, it's just really inspiring me to use them as my background. Last week I used a gray sheet, and it was also shiny and shimmery like this one. But this blue color is just gorgeous, and it is called Prince Charming, I think is the name of this color. I can't see here. Prince Charming, yep, that's the name of it. It's gorgeous. So what I'm going to do is something a little bit different with the Lindy's Magicals. Instead of just mixing it with water, I'm going to mix it into some white acrylic paint. So this is another option that you can do with your powders. So I'm going to mix the pink that we get in the color kit this month. It's called Plumeria Pink, and it is really, really pretty. And so I'm going to mix it with the paint and then water it down, and then just use my brush to splatter it. And it's going to give it a totally different look because I'm mixing it with paint versus just putting it directly onto the paper. And so just be aware if you mix the Magicals, because they are shimmery, if you mix them with paint, you do lose some of the shimmer. And that's okay. I'm not necessarily going for shimmer here. I'm just going for the pink color. But I have found that, you know, if you just use it directly with water on your page, you're going to get a lot of shimmer. But if you do mix it with the paint, it kind of gives a chalky finish, which is fine. I mean, sometimes I want it to be shimmery, and sometimes it doesn't matter. And right now I just want some pink on the background. And I like this chalky effect. I think it kind of goes well with the chalkiness of the white gesso. And I just want a little bit. This is just going to kind of give the hint of some pink around the edges of the photo once I tuck it back in there. And so yeah, that's just another option. If you've got the Lindy's and you're out of ideas of ways to use it, just get yourself some white paint, mix it up, and use it that way. So you can kind of see the effect there, and I like how that looks. So now I'm going to come in with an older color that we've got in a previous kit. It's more of a darker blue, and that one is, oh goodness, what color is it? I've got all of them right here on my desk. Jana's Jade. Jana's Jade. I think we got that last month. And it's a little bit darker than I actually wanted. I was trying to match the blue cardstock, but this is just a little bit darker, but it's okay. It winds up working out. I'm going to kind of dab it up, and it is shimmery once it's dry because I did not mix it with the paint. You can kind of see the difference there. I know it's just a little bit, but it's definitely shimmery. And it just added some subtle blue splatters on the background. You can't even really see them from here, but in person you can. Okay, so I'm going to tuck the picture in like you see it there, and then just work with some more of the die cut flowers that came from the Pretty Little Studio collection and just start layering them down. I don't want to do too many, but I do want to add a little bit more. And here's another option. If you want to just use a single flower, don't be afraid to cut one out of the big floral die cuts in that set, because there's a lot of die cuts that have multiple flowers on it, and if you just want one, just cut them out. I did that on several of these because there's only a couple of single flower die cuts. The rest of them are big multi-flower pieces, and so I wanted it just, you know, I just needed one more dark blue flower, so I just cut one up and cut it out. I felt like I would get more use out of it doing that. So don't be afraid to cut your die cuts up and just get the one piece of it that you want. It's okay to cut things up. All I'm doing here is adding in some thread. You know me and my thread addiction. I've got all the colors to match all the colors here in these flowers. So I'm going to tuck in some yellow on the left, some of the darker blue on the right, and then some lighter blue down here at the bottom. I actually used a little bit of a darker turquoise minty color, and it was just, it blended too much. You couldn't really see it. So I added a lighter color on top of it. So I'm going to add a little bit of tissue paper behind my photo here, just for a little bit of a layer behind the photo. And then I'm going to pop the photo up as well. Lots of things have dimension on this layout. I'm not going to add any dimension behind the actual white circle part because it's just too thin and it doesn't even really make a difference in the end. So I'm just going to wind up gluing that down because, yeah, it's just kind of skinny and it would be really hard to cut that adhesive foam to get behind there. So I'm not too concerned about that. So all the flowers are popped up, the photos popped up, and I'm going to start to work on gluing things down. I know that that's where that's going to go. So I'm going to start to add some glue. And I don't think I've talked about my glue in a while. I usually get questions about it, but no one's asked me about the glue that's in my very messy, dirty glue bottle that I love so much. I use the Scotch tacky glue. I used to get it from Michael's. I know you can get it on Amazon, but lately I found it in Walmart. The bottles are a little bit smaller, but they always have it. So every time I go to Walmart, I try to grab a bottle just to have, because I go through this glue a lot and it works great. It's the same glue, the only glue I've ever put in this fine liner bottle, and it's still going strong after I think I've used the same bottle for at least 2 years. And yeah, you can see my hands always have paint and gesso on it, and then I grab my bottle and that's why it looks like it does. The label's worn off and I don't even care how dirty the bottle was, because, you know, the glue's clean. And that's all that matters, right? I mean, my pages are messy, so naturally my desk should be messy and my glue bottle should be messy. And, you know, they are. So it all goes hand in hand. Anyway, all I'm doing here is adding in some more flowers, popping things up with adhesive foam. Some of the flowers on top of the already popped up flowers, I'm adding a bit more dimension there. And it's not a lot, but it's just still a little bit more to give it a little more depth. And I love that. I love adhesive foam. I don't think I've made a completely flat layout in I don't know how long. Highly suggest using some foam. And I do get asked a lot about, you know, when I put them into albums, do they flatten out? And, you know, naturally that's going to happen. Things are going to flatten out. But if you don't want it to flatten out, you could display your layouts. You know, you don't have to put them in an album. You could always hang them on your wall or put them somewhere where you can see them. And yeah, I don't mind mine flattening out after a while, because, you know, if they're going to go in an album, they're going to get smushed, and that's okay. Here's another instance of me cutting up a die cut. I just wanted one more light blue and yellow flower, so I just said, what the heck, let's just cut this up and get what I need. So that's what I did. So what I'm going to do is just add a couple more flowers at the top of the photo. If you notice my photo, she's situated over to the right, so I have a lot of open space on the left of the picture. So that's going to allow me to do a lot of overlapping. And so I love when I have a picture like that, because it's perfect for designing a scrapbook page like this, because you have all kinds of options. Sometimes I don't overlap on top of the photo. It just depends on the actual picture and depends on the layout, depends on the embellishments, but flowers are awesome for overlapping and layering. And so I'm going to do one of each color right up there at the top. I guess I could have put a flower in her hair. That would have looked cute, but I'm just now thinking of that once this layout is already done. So yeah, she's just going to have flowers by her hair. Now, I've also got some of the other embellishments pulled out here from Pink Fresh Studio. I decided to use this little circle chipboard sticker that says you, and I'm just going to stick it right in the middle of that big pink flower. I thought it looked cute. And then I went back and forth about the title. We get these 2 sheets of big, beautiful, scripty words, and I thought about using smile up at the top, but I just couldn't, I don't know, it was a little big. So I decided to use this one here that says memories, and I think it looks good right there where it is above the picture. And so I thought that I would leave that there and then use the white stickers to put another title on top of the picture, but I decided not to do that because the white stickers, you couldn't even read it on top of the picture because it's black and white and you couldn't even see it. So I decided to put the blue memories sticker right on top of the picture underneath the flowers, and then I'm going to use these for a secondary title. And when I cannot think of a title, I'm just going to go and use her name. I use my daughter's names a lot. Her name's Paige, and so it fits perfectly right there. And it's white, and so it matches everything. And yeah, I mean, this wasn't, you know, a monumental event. She was just looking cute one day, and so I don't feel like it needs a monumental title, you know. Her name will suffice because it's her. It's a close-up picture. And then in my journaling, I can talk about what I want to say. And I use the capital G because the small case G would have either overlapped the photo or gone behind the photo, and you would not have been able to see the loopy part of it. So I decided to mix and match and use uppercase and lowercase. Glued everything down, added some pink thread, and now I am just adding my lines for journaling. I decided to just do the journaling right down here on the bottom right, and I'm going to use my white Jelly Roll pen since white shows up really, really well on darker cardstock. And then the last thing I'm going to do is pull some spray from Lindy's that we've got a long time ago. It's the perfect yellow to match the yellow in the flowers here. This is a Starburst spray called Yellow Rose of Texas. And I cannot tell you what month we got that in, but if you look on the website and backtrack, I'm sure you'll find it. But anyway, I added the date, and that's the final layout. I think this is so cute. I love this Pink Fresh Studio collection. It's gorgeous. You have got to break into your kits if you haven't yet because they're gorgeous, especially the cardstock kit. Like I said, the colors are just perfect for backgrounds, and all of the colors match all of the colors of everything else in the kits, so it's perfect. But anyway, here are all the close-ups. You can see all the fun texture, all the details, all the dimension, and yeah, it's all gorgeous. I had such a fun time putting this together. I hope it gives you some ideas and inspires you in some way, and I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week in my next video.